want to take you now to Detroit, where former Vice President Joe Biden is speaking after his debate performance last night. Let's listen in.
Having served with him, I'm proud of the job he did. I don't think there's anything he has to apologize for, and I think, it kind of surprised me, the degree of the criticism. But look, it's, as I've told you before, and God love you, you've had to cover me a long time now, but this is a marathon, and I feel good. I think we passed the quarter mark, and I'm feeling good.
Mr. Vice President, you told us in the earliest days of your campaign that you were not going to speak ill of a fellow Democrat. You were pretty tough on some of your opponents last night. Why the change in strategy?
Because I responded. Look, I hope the next debate we can talk about how we fixed our answers to fix the things that Trump has broken. Not how Barack Obama made all these mistakes. He didn't. He didn't. And so, but what I want to make it clear is that this going back 10, 20, 30 years is just is a game that's a game to make sure that we hand the Republicans an election coming up. Look, folks, there's a lot of things everybody has done in their past and votes that no longer have a context today. They're taken out of context. And I just wanted to make the point that some of these assertions being made were absolutely, how can I say it nicely, not true and taken out of context, and if they really meant what they said, they wouldn't have done a lot of things they did.
Do you think your party has gone too far to the left? Do you think your party has gone too far to the left?
Another 4 years of Barack Obama on immigration, for instance. What are you going to do differently from Obama?
The world has changed since Obama, and here's the deal. This is about the future. It's about taking the same kind of integrity and moving beyond it. By the time we ended, the president's term ended, he was able to begin to focus in ways on not just keeping the car from going over the cliff and us going into depression. He was able to begin to focus, and he focused on immigration. And what he did was serious. He changed the dialogue. He changed the whole question. He changed what was going on. And the idea that somehow it's comparable to what this guy's doing is absolutely bizarre. Look, this is 3 years later. The world has changed. President Trump has turned it upside down internationally. He has turned it upside down economically. People are hurting badly. There's no response. We faced a different problem 10 years ago when the economy collapsed because of Republican policies. Now we face a problem that the economy as well as the soul of this country is collapsing because of this presidency. So it's a different problem, but with the same basic principle. We have to be honest, straightforward, and authentic about what we're going to do. And I'm looking forward to being able to go into some detail and explain and deal with the differences we have. And they're all good people. But here's my plan for health care. What's yours? Let's talk about it.
Your party has changed as well. Do you think it's moving too far to the left, even on immigration, where some of your fellow Democratic candidates say that they want to decriminalize those who cross the border illegally?
Well, look, it's not about moving left or right. I think I represent the party. I think my views are where the vast majority of the Democratic Party are. There's a lot of really, really good people who got elected who are really pushing the envelope. And it's good, it's healthy to do that. But the idea that they represent what the party is today does not comport with who gets elected. Does not comport with how we won last in 2018. It does not comport. And so, but it's a totally legitimate debate to have. The one thing we have to focus on, and the one thing I agree with Corey on last night, let's focus on what it is we can do together. We are so different. Every one of those people on that stage has a fundamentally different view than Barack, they talk about Barack, but they have a fundamentally different view than the present President of the United States is. And let's argue who has the best path forward to lead this country to greatness. Okay.
Mr. Vice President,
drop out.
Are you supportive of the debate stage shrinking going forward?
Well, I'm supportive of having a debate, not 1 minute assertions. Look, it's not anybody's fault the way it's worked. There's 20 candidates, and that's a good thing. But the idea that we don't actually have a chance to explain our policies in less than 1 minute, and if you're not asked a direct question about your policy, you get 30 seconds. And if you're not asked with 30 seconds, you get 15 seconds to intervene. That's not a debate. And I understand why it has to be that way, but I'm looking forward to getting to the place where we can actually exchange ideas.
Direct question.
Can you clarify your position on NAFTA? You said that House Democrats are talking about 4 concrete changes to Trump's deal.
You asked me whether or not Trump plan has offered. That's what I was asked.
If they make these 4 changes, will you accept them?
The 4 changes, as long as I got to make sure that this time they are written in stone. They are written in stone. They must be imposed. Because last time, remember, there was a proposal that said you're going to have to, this was 20-some years ago, you're going to have to make sure you provide for alternatives for people who may get caught in the crossfire here. That did not happen. It's a different deal. Someone had a question.
Yes. Going back to last night.
Yes.
Is there anything you would do differently about last night's debate?
No, instead of saying Joe, I would have said text. I was so focused on making the case for Joe. I said Joe, and I gave the number. It was text, so I would have changed that. But you guys have printed it 15 times, and it's getting great results for us. We're getting a lot of incoming because.
Could you still see?
Black voter turnout is down in states like Michigan. Since black voter turnout is down in black areas of key states like Michigan. You invoke President Obama a lot when you talk about race, but I'm curious how you plan to get Obama-level turnouts in 2020 as a white politician.
I've run in a state that has the 8th largest black population in the country. I have never, when I've run on an off year or on year, gotten any fewer votes than on an on year and more than any person ever has in Delaware, black or white. I come from the community. They know my heart. They know me. And I think that's why so many are supporting me. I think the black community is no different than any other community in the sense that they are being hurt badly. They're being hurt badly. And they want to know someone, first of all, are they telling them the truth? Are they laying out straight exactly what they're going to do? No double talk. What are you going to do? And then secondly, do I believe you understand me? Do I believe you know my heart? And I've spent my whole career trying. I'm not a black man, to state the obvious, but I've gone out of my way to understand best I possibly can that what the concerns are, and they're legitimate. Look, you have so many African-American businessmen and women with great potential. They have to have access to capital. I started off my political life trying to deal with redlining of banks. It's still not done. Any bank that exists in a black community should have to lend in the black community, period. We should be in a position where we fundamentally change the way in which the education system works. We didn't get a chance to talk about it last night. I laid out a plan in great detail that now everybody, and I'm glad they're talking about it, now everybody agrees is good. I take and look at what's going on. If you don't have access to education, everything gets backed up. All the dreams get backed up. So that's why I propose increasing from $15 billion to $45 billion a year for at-risk schools, Title I schools. Has to be spent. And we challenge children, black or white, poor children and black children and Hispanic children, and they can do as well as anybody else given a chance. That's why I insist to be absolutely 3, 4, and 5-year-olds having preschool. Not a choice. We know the numbers. Look, you have great universities here. Find me a university in this state that doesn't say that, where the education departments point out that if you provide 3, 4, and 5 years old genuine education, they don't increase their chances exponentially. Exponentially. Tell me, fine, what are we arguing about? And we can pay for all this. We don't have to go out and spend $30 trillion or all these billions and billions of dollars. What we can do this for, we can do it for another, for example, $35 billion a year, just in education. We should make sure that every single solitary child is qualified and people coming back to school because they've lost their jobs. Everybody laughs about I shouldn't say that. I'm not even going to go there. But the point is, there is a real concern on the part of people who have jobs now about this fourth industrial revolution. I've been speaking about it for 6 years. People are deathly afraid. You guys, all you press people, you're in jeopardy. No, I'm not joking. You're great people. But look what's happening to you. You're in a situation where the digital world is changing. You have a totally different deal. If you're for a print newspaper, hang on, baby. Hang on. So it's changing. You understand what I don't expect you to agree with me. I'm not trying to get the press.
Mr. Vice President,
given that Trump won Michigan, what do you see being your biggest challenge in this state since he won it last time?
I can win Michigan. They know me. I've worked my whole life. I come from the middle class. I understand it. I know what's going on. And if you notice, I promise you, if I get the nomination, I will win Michigan. I promise you that. I will win Pennsylvania. I will win Ohio. I will win these states that he got 72 extra thousand votes on to give himself an election. Look, folks, it's not there was this great migration to him. It didn't occur. We're talking about 72,500 votes in 3 states that changed. Otherwise, Hillary Clinton would be president with a margin of over 3 million votes.
Mr. Vice President, a lot of Democrats are saying that.
Let me get some of it.
Quickly about health care.
Yes.
Do you think you drew sharp enough contrast with the more liberal elements of the Democratic Party? Would you say that your plan is more moderate, and how do you get people to buy into government health care?
For my entire career in the Senate, I was listed never below one of 1 to 25 most liberal people in the United States Senate, okay? I wish you guys had called me a moderate when I was running for re-election back in Delaware. You know, I would have won by 80%. But here's the deal. There's nothing moderate about what Barack did in Obamacare. Nothing. No president had come close. And they tried, and they tried, and they tried. 7 presidents. This guy did an incredible thing. In addition to that, he covered 100 million people who had pre-existing conditions. He allowed kids to stay in their parents' policies until they're 26 years old. He covered 20 million more people. We tried to get the Medicare option added to it. We couldn't get it done. I will get it done this time because the people have realized what it's about. They figured it out. But folks, what about veterans? Look, one of the things that my wife and Michelle did, and was one of the things we worked on, is veterans are being left behind in so many ways. We need, for example, another 75,000 psychiatric nurses. And I carry a card with me, and I have it with me every day. Sorry for the press who covers me. It has my schedule on it. Every single day, I have the staff check with the Defense Department how many people have died. How many people have died or wounded in these wars? Because every one of them left behind a community. Every one of those fallen angels left behind, and we owe them. It's not 6,870 some, 6,678 precisely have died so far. But here's the thing that's not told. We have 300,000 people coming home from Afghanistan, Iraq, and the wars in the Middle East with post-traumatic stress. We have more people committing suicide who are veterans than are getting killed in battle. We need to care for them. That's why when I was a senator, I changed the law saying that anyone who had ever been exposed to acid rain no longer had to prove the circumstance that they, in fact, their immune system was compromised because of it. Just prove it happened to you and you get coverage. The same way I did when the president agreed when we said anyone who comes back, so many people coming back with brain injuries because of the concussion, more amputees and more brain injuries than any war that I'm aware of on a percentage basis. And here's the deal. Now, guess what? All you have to prove is you're in an area where there's concussion, and if you have something wrong, any brain injury, and you get covered. We got to do a lot more. I got to go, guys.
Mr. Vice President, what Democrats are saying is they want to see a matchup with Elizabeth Warren. Now, how do you stack up against her?
He's coming back, man. He's leading them back, man, and I'm proud to have played a little part in it.
Is President Obama going to be joining you next time?